Hello my crafty friends and happy 4th of July. Now this video is going to be a compilation of all of the patriotic red, white, and blue projects that we've done. I put this video together for those of you like me that might be at home this evening protecting your little furry friends from the fireworks. Or maybe you're also like me and you're just like, it's a little too peoply out there. Or maybe you've had a big day celebrating, you just want to kick back, relax, and watch a few DIY projects. Either way, I'm glad you're here, so let's go ahead and get started.
This first DIY is very simple. What I do is I take a patriotic bow, which I think turned out adorable too. You can use this for any bow, pre-made, or you can make your own. And I just dressed it up with these red, white, and blue peony bush I got from Walmart. I start this project by removing one of each of the flowers in the red, white, and blue. Then for a little more security on the flowers, I add a touch of hot glue behind the plastic disc that holds the stem to the petals. Once that's done and dried, I just attach the flowers to the ribbon tails. Once I get the florals attached to the ribbon, then I attach the florals to themselves a little bit, just on the sides where they're touching. It gives a little more stability and it keeps the florals from spinning around on the tails. Like say you're going to hang this outside on a wreath, or maybe to decorate a table outside at a 4th of July party. It just keeps them kind of more secure and laying flat. As you'll see here, I'm showing you it with the tails left long, but I did end up trimming my tails. It just fit my wreath that I'm going to be hanging on my front door just a little bit better than with the tails on, but I like it both ways. Moving on to DIY number 2, we're going to be making a little 4th of July shadow box. I start by painting my shadow box white, and I give it a little bit of distressing with some sandpaper. Once that's done, I attach my little cubes. I use 3 of these little wood cubes, and I'm going to use them as little risers for my galvanized star. Now that my galvanized star is attached, I move on to the little wood cutout I got at Hobby Lobby. I think they came in a pack of 8 if I'm not mistaken, and they are really adorable. They come painted red, white, and blue, and for this project I'm using the July 4th. Once my wood cutout's been attached, we move on to our little ribbon bow. Now I'm making mine like kind of a traditional little fold over ribbon bow, as you'll see here, and it's going to go on the top of my shadow box. I start by folding the ribbon over and pinching it together. Then I twist the ribbon tail to where it's matching side up and not the rough side up. Once the ribbon's been tied, the little bow, I measure out for the second tail. Now you'll see that the second tail is going to be loose, and I'm going to keep it that way. And you'll see here that I glue the loose ribbon tail to the top of my shadow box. Then I glue the ribbon with the attached tail to the top of that. It just helps it lay a little flatter, and it gives a much better appearance on the sides of the box, in my opinion. I finish up my ribbon detail by just attaching it with some little bitty tiny dots of hot glue on the sides. I crinkle up the little tails, and then I just attach them in their little bins. I think this little shadow box turned out so cute, and it's definitely running a close tie for favorites with this next DIY we're going to do. Moving on to our next DIY, DIY number 3. And how I start out is I take a green, it was a regular just green wreath frame in the star shape, and I painted it with some white chalk spray paint. I then take the wooden star and paint it red. Once it's painted and dried, I just take a little bit of sandpaper and I distress the edges. So now that that's done, I need to attach the red wood star to my white wire star. And you could just glue the wood to the wire. It's perfectly fine. But for me, I wanted it to be a little more secure because I'm going to be using it outdoors. So I put them together, I flip them over, and in each corner of the star, I attach a little piece of felt with some hot glue. Great, now that that's done, we're moving on to the embellishments of this project. The embellishments consist of a gorgeous little blue wood cutout that says America. I think these are so stinking cute, and when I saw them at Hobby Lobby, I said, oh my gosh, control yourself, girl, because you don't need 10 packs, you just need one. Now that I have my little America sign attached, I move on to the bow. My bow is just going to be a simple little kind of a shoestring bow with little tails. And as you can tell, I've kept my ribbon the same. I love this ribbon. I found it at Hobby Lobby. And I feel, in my opinion, that ribbon is the one thing that can tie all of your DIYs together and make them very cohesive for, say, like a party, or maybe you're just doing a theme in a room. I think that's the best way to tie something together in a very inexpensive way. I start this project by prepping it and adding a little bit of painter's tape around each of the wicks. That way I won't get any paint on them. And then I'm going to paint just the ends of each of the firecrackers, the top and the bottom, as you'll see here. Now, once those have been painted and dried, I take the scrapbook paper and I measure each firecracker to the particular style of scrapbook paper that I'll be using. I then cut them in strips with my paper cutter. Now that my scrapbook paper's cut, I take one of the pieces of scrapbook paper and I measure the circumference of the firecracker. I take that measured piece of scrapbook paper, I put it on the other stack, and then I measure them out and cut them with my paper cutter. Now that I have all my paper cut and measured to size to each firecracker, I move on to attaching the scrapbook paper to the wood. And in my opinion, the purple glue stick by Elmer's is the perfect solution to this. I tried hot glue, I tried Mod Podge, both just too messy and sloppy in my opinion. So how you do this is you start by adding a little strip of the glue to the wood firecracker, line up your paper so it goes around straight, and then you'll just take the glue stick and rub it along the wood firecracker, and you'll just press the paper in as you go along. Now, when you get to the end of the paper, you're going to add it to the actual wood firecracker and to the edge of the paper. Then you'll just smooth it right around, and the seam is perfection in my opinion. I just love how this little set of firecrackers came out. Now, I've had this idea in my head for literally probably 3 years, and every year 4th of July would roll around and I wouldn't get to making them. So I'd be kind of sad and say, next year I'm going to do that. Well, next year would come and go. Well, this year I said, that is it for this party. I'm making these little wood firecrackers.
Start with a 2x4 that we've cut down. The 2 end pieces are 6 inches, this piece is 8 inches, and this piece is 7 inches. We're going to start by painting the 2 end blocks. We're going to paint those blue. Then we're going to paint our tallest block. We're going to paint that red. And we're going to paint our second tallest block white. So now that we have them all painted, we're going to move on with distressing them. All right, now that we have them sanded, we are going to add some vinyl decals to them. And I printed these out on my Silhouette machine. And I'll actually have them in my shop if you want to check them out. Just in case you want to make a set for yourself, I thought I'd offer them for you guys. So let's go ahead and get our decals on and we'll continue on from there. And then once we have our decals on there, look at how cute that looks. What do you guys think? Don't you think it looks so cute? But we're not done yet because I want to kind of add a little aged look to mine. And to do that, I'm going to do it with a little bit of stain. And I'm also going to take and add a little design here on this book. And also, we want to do the edge of our books. And for that, we're going to be using a star stencil. And it's going to be so much fun. So let's go ahead and get started doing that. And then we'll distress everything with the stain towards the end. So let's go ahead and dive into that star stencil. All right, so now we've done a little bit of the stencil on the top here, but we're going to continue on. Since I didn't hit play on my, or record on my camera. Ay, caca. It's one of those days, hey? One of those days. And then look at that. How cute is that? All right, so now we're going to continue on and we're going to get stars on all of our pieces. And then when we come to the white piece, we're going to put blue stars along the edge of the white piece. Oh, it's going to look so good. So let's continue on and get our stenciling done. And then once we have them distressed, and I took some painter's tape and painted little lines on this book here, and I think it looks so cute. But now that I have all of mine painted and the stars on the back, I also did the obviously the distressing with the stain, and I think they look great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out and I'm going to give them a couple coats of the satin clear enamel from Rust-Oleum. All right, now I have the clear coat on them, and I think that they turned out so beautiful. What do you guys think? Do you not love them? We made these for, actually we made a fall stack and we also made an Easter stack, and I think that they are so much fun to make for the holidays. And I like keeping mine apart so you can style them however you like. But what do you guys think? Don't you think they turned out so beautiful? For this DIY project, we're going to be using this 1x8 and it measures 36 inches. Now, what I did is I divided it into thirds. So I made a mark here, and this third is going to be painted blue. So let's go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to be using this navy blue craft paint from Hobby Lobby. Now, also, another thing that I want to do is I'm going to take, oh my gosh, I've already got paint on my hands. All right, I'm going to take and mark this off with some blue tape, painter's tape. And I'm just going to mark this off right here to have a straight line. We definitely want our straight line. And then we're just going to paint it blue. All right, once we have our blue painted, we're going to move our tape and we are going to put it over our blue like this and wrap it around the edges. And then we're going to paint our board white. So let's go ahead and do that now. And now that our white has dried, we're going to remove our tape and we are going to put down tape to make stripes on our white. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think I'm going to use just the wider tape. Make sure our tape is pushed in, especially on the edges. And then we're going to paint these red. All right, and now that it's dried, I'm going to take mine out and I'm going to distress around the edges. Now that we have it distressed, I think it looks so good. But to finish it off, I'm going to add this stencil I made. And it says 1776 with the stars. And we are just going to put it on our board. And then once we're done with all that, we have this beautiful porch sign. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take mine out and I'm going to give it a few good coats of the clear enamel and satin by Rust-Oleum. And then I let it dry overnight once I clear coated it. And as you can see, it really brought the colors out. It really deepened the colors. And I just love how this turned out. What do you guys think? All right, for this one, we're going to be using this fun little mason jar wood cutout, and I purchased it from Hobby Lobby. So let's go ahead and start. First things first, I'm going to trim my hanger. All right, we're going to save that aside for later. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to start by painting my whole jar white. So let's go ahead and do that now. Then once we have it painted white, we're going to tape off the top part of our jar right here with some painter's tape. Press that down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these stars that I made a stencil out of. And we're going to put those across here. And then once I have my stars down, I'm going to go over them with some white. All right, and then once we have that white painted, we are going to paint this top part in a navy blue. And then once we have it painted and our stars removed, we have what looks like this. I think it turned out so good. What do you guys think? All right, so now we're going to take our stripe from the bottom of our blue stars, and we're going to put it right along this line, but inside on the blue. And we just want it as a little barrier, because now what we're going to do is we're going to paint red stripes this way. So let's go ahead. Once we have our tape on, we're then just going to paint our stripes red. So now that we have our stripes painted, our stars are painted, I'm going to take mine out and I'm just going to distress it a little bit just to kind of make it look more antique and vintage. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, now we have it distressed. For our next thing, I want to add a little quote to mine, and I'm going to do this one, and it says, "God bless America, land that I love." So let's go ahead and put that on and get it. And I'm going to be doing this in a black ink, or a black paint ink. What am I even talking about? And then we have what looks like this, and I think it looks so cute. And actually, on camera, it's harder to read, but in person, you can read it perfectly, so that's good. Now I want to add a little bit of detail around mine and around the lid up here. So with that, I'm going to be using I think, a black marker here, and I got these at Walmart, and I'll have them linked below. They are excellent, excellent paint markers. Excellent. Now, I say that, so let's let me reel that in a little bit before I go using it, right? But, and then they have the bullet tip and the brush tip. So I think I'm going to try the brush tip first. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll try that first. Nah, you know what? Let me do this. Let me do this. This, yeah, that's better. Okay, and now I'm just going to add a cute little design around the outer edge. And you can do like stitches. You can do swirls. I'm just going to play with it and see what I can come up with. So let's get started. And then we have our little designs around the outside. And then we're going to add our lid detail. And for that, I'm just going to do like little lines like the lid. So let's try and do that. And then once we have our details added on there with our black pen, I then came in with a paintbrush and some brown paint, and I just dry brushed it to make it look a little more vintage. So now you can leave it just like this and add the hanger, and I think that would be so, so cute. And I actually might just do that. I was thinking of adding a bow up here, but let me kind of fool around with it and see what we think. All right, that wraps it up for this DIY project. I did end up adding the bow with a little bit of burlap background to it, and I think it turned out so cute. And also, I wanted to show you guys, I have other videos from past years of Patriotic Americana decor, and I wanted to just show you a few of the pieces, and I'll link the videos down below. But I think this one's so cute too. And this was made with mostly Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby supplies. And I think it matches this perfectly. What do you guys think? And then I also made this little cutie pie. And I think that is adorable too. Also, I made a set of firecrackers. And I think they turned out so cute. And these are just a big round dowel and some scrapbook paper. And then a little bit of rope for the wick. So I'll have those videos linked down below. But anyway, that wraps it up for this DIY Americana video. And I hope it inspires you guys to make some fun projects for your home to celebrate the Americana and American history. Well, also, if you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so because we'd love to have you here at Sweet Bay Lane. Also, don't forget to share the video and like the video. Give us a big thumbs up because that helps share the videos and this channel with others that have interests similar to ours. Well, thank you so much again for crafting with me, and until next time, make sure and keep it crafty. All right, now for this DIY, we're going to be using some really fun supplies. We're going to be using this star cutout, wood cutout, and then you'll need some varying fabrics. So what we're going to do is we're now going to paint our star. Then once we have it painted, we have this cute little blue star. We're going to distress it a little bit, and I'm going to use some of this more coarse sandpaper, a 60 grit. So I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to sand it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some stain in this gel stain from Hobby Lobby. And we're going to stain the edges to make them look antique and vintage. All right, now we have it stained and it looks super aged, which I love. Don't you guys love that? I do. Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this next step, which you can do, not do, but I'm going to take this decal that I made on my silhouette machine and I'm going to attach it to my star. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, then once we have our decal on, I think it turned out so cute. What do you guys think? Now I'm going to take it out and I'm going to give it 2 good coats of the Rust-Oleum clear satin enamel. So let's get that done now. You can see the sheen on it. I think it looks so pretty. But now we're going to set this aside and we're going to bring in our fabric. And for this, I'm just going to shred my fabric into strips. I'm just going to cut it and then tear it into strips. So let's go ahead and get that done now. All right, now that we have our fabric cut, I mean not cut, but torn, and I think it turned out so pretty torn. What do you guys think? Don't you love that blue and white floral? I just love it. So now we're going to set these aside, just right to the side here. We're going to bring back in our star, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the fabric strips and we're going to glue them to the bottom of our star. So let's see how this turns out. And I think like probably the bigger star you use, the more like oomph you could get with the fabric, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and start doing that and see where we're at. And I honestly think I cut so many strips that I'll probably be able to use them for another project, which I'm excited about, honestly, because I'm kind of loving this whole idea. Do you guys work with a lot of like torn rag fabric? I haven't done that a lot, so I'm super excited about this project. And I'm really loving the tearing of the fabric. It looks so pretty. You know, I'm really envious of people that can sew and make clothing. Stop it with your bad selves making clothing. Actually, funny story. I took home ec in high school. We had to take home ec. And I didn't take cooking because I really wasn't into it back in the day. Now I love it. But back in the day when you're a teenager, like, yeah, I didn't want to cook. So I took a sewing class. Well, I was really not into it, and honestly, the poor teacher, I feel bad for her, but she tried to teach me, but I just was like, I don't know. So anyway, I kept like procrastinating. We had to make a sweatshirt with a zipper. Somewhere we had to put the zipper. So anyway, I decided I'm going to make a sweatshirt. And I'm going to put my zipper here on the shoulder. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious, by the way. But she said she was impressed because it took the other girls the whole semester, the quarter, to do their sweatshirt. And I had procrastinated mine so much that I had to do mine in 2 days. It was, I know. And I would pretend like I was doing stuff in the class, but I really wasn't. I was talking and, you know, doing all that stuff. And also it came towards the end of the day. So I was a cheerleader. So sometimes I'd have to leave early to go cheer or to ride the bus wherever we had to go and cheer, whatever. And so a lot of times I would skip out on that class, and I was able to because I had, you know, clearance from the coach there to do it. So anyway, I did it in 2 days, and I'm not sure, my mom might still have that sweatshirt, but I don't know. But I will tell you that my teacher was impressed that I had sewn it so well in just 2 days. So I don't know. But she gave me, I think I got like a B on it, which actually is pretty good considering the rest of the class took like the whole, but they learned how to really sew. I mean, let's be honest. I just like took the cliff notes of sewing and made my sweatshirt. Anyway, moving on. But so I'm envious of people that can sew and make clothes. All right, so now we have our fabric on the back, and let's see what it looks like. Let's flip it over and see what it looks like. So to know if we're going to need more Oh, you guys, it looks so cute. Look at it. Oh, do you not love it? Oh my goodness, look at it. I love it so much. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Now we're going to add our hanger, and I think like you could add a bow. I don't know, should I add a bow? Maybe not. I know, I can't take it. I can't take it. Anyway, so we are going to add a hanger, and I think what I'm going to add is this little piece of leftover fabric. I think it's like perfect for a hanger. What do you guys think? You know what else would be fun, I think, is to tea stain or coffee stain or however they stain fabric and make it look vintage. I think that would be super, super cute. Oh yes, look at this hanger. Wait till I show you this hanger. It is gorgeous. All right, let me show you. Look at how cute it is. I love it. Do you guys not love this little star? Oh my goodness. And look at the little tie. I love it. I love it. But I did make it, so I guess I better love it, right? Anyway, what do you guys think? You think you'll make one? I hope so. And the great thing about this is you can make it whatever colors you want. You could make this red and then all the fabric. I think that would be pretty. You could do whatever you want, but I just love how this project turned out. All right, now for this DIY, we're going to make a fun sitter sign. Now you can make it as large or as small as you like. I'm going to be making mine sort of like a smaller size, like a little mini size. And you could use this to sit on your mantle. You could sit it on a shelf, on a table. That's why I like this size. So anyway, we're going to start by painting the top and the bottom white. And I divided it into 3 sections. And the 2 sections at the bottom here and the top are measuring 10 inches and 10 inches. And then the center one obviously is 8 inches. So that's how I divided my 28-inch board up. So I'm going to paint the bottom and the top white. And then we're going to continue on to stain the center. I'm going to stain the center. So let's go ahead and get our painting done and our staining done, and we'll continue on to the fun part of the DIY. Okay, now that we have it painted white and stained, we're going to leave our tape on our stained part. And the top, we're going to add some of these cute little stars I printed out on my silhouette machine. Then once we have our stars on, we're now going to take some white paint and we're going to paint over our stars. Oh, there's my gift card I was looking for. Okay, so now we're going to take our white paint and we're going to paint over our stars. All right, now we have our stars on. We want to put some red stripes down here. And to do that, we're just going to do it with our tape. All right, and also, while you're putting your stripes on, I found it easiest if you're going to use a 1x6 and you want to get the stripes even. I started in the center with the center strip. At first I started to the side, but that wasn't going to work out for me. I didn't like the way the stripes ended. And so I started in the center. I centered the tape right in the middle, and then I did the little piece of divider tape and I put down the tape. So if that makes any sense, start with your middle piece. If you're going to use a 1x6, start with your middle piece and then go out on each side from there. And then that'll give you equal amounts of side on equal amounts of width on the sides here. And I'm going to paint this red. So let's get that done. Okay, so now we have our stars on and our stripes, and you can leave them just like this, your board just like this, if you like that nice, bright, clean look. But I'm going to take mine out and distress the stripes and the stars, and then I'll be right back. All right, and now we have it sanded. I think it looks so good. What do you guys think? I love that little distressing. So now for our last 2 final steps, we're going to add a decal that I printed out on my silhouette machine. And I'll have it listed in my shop as well, this decal too. So let's go ahead and get that on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our final reveal after we've given it 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel. So let's go ahead and get our decal on and we'll get to the finished product. All right, and then once we have it done, it looks so pretty, that nice sheen on it. What do you guys think? Don't you love how it turned out? I think it's so pretty with the stars and the stripes. I love this. I love how it turned out. I'm having so much fun making these. All right, for this DIY, we're going to be making a fun door hanger. And I actually like making door hangers. I know a lot of people like overdo the door hanger thing and they think it's overdone, but I honestly like them. I think they're fun to make, and I think they're fun to hang on your door or put on a wreath. So we're going to make one. And to start out, we're going to be using this Hello Hobby. It's from Walmart, and it's a round disc, and it's called a round plaque, and it's 11.8 inches, which is basically 12 inches. And I just love the thickness of it. It's nice and thick. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint our whole disc white. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, and then once we have it painted white, we're going to paint this quadrant. We're going to divide it up. And I actually did that ahead of time. I took my ruler and I just made a line about, I'd say what, a third? If you divided it in thirds, it's a little more, it's actually a little less than half. And I drew a line right down the center here. And then I divided it, straight line, here. And then this is going to be a quadrant, this is going to be a quadrant, and this is going to be a quadrant. Well, I don't know. If they're are they quadrants if there's only 3? I don't know. Maybe someone else that's like smarter than me can answer that question. But anyway, so we're going to make stars in this one. And we're going to do stripes in this one. And then this one, I'll show you what we're going to do when we get there. But first we want to do the stars. And to do that, we're going to tape it off with our blue painter's tape. We're really putting this to good use in these DIYs, I think. And I love it because it's really attainable for everyone, you know what I mean? And then we're just going to tape it off, making sure it's straight. Yeah, it is. And then, now, you could use a stencil right here and just stencil the stars, but I think what I'm going to do is I have some leftover, where did I put that? I had some leftover stars. Okay, so I found my stars. So let's go ahead and get that down. All right, and once we have our stars on, we're then going to take some paint and we're just going to paint over them to fill them in, because what we're going to do is we're going to then paint over them with some beautiful navy blue. So let's go ahead and get that painted. All right, now that we have our stars painted on, we want to paint some red stripes on this side. So to do that, we're going to take some blue painter's tape and we're just going to stick it down on this side of our blue, like we've done in our other DIYs. And we're going to tape down our line. And then once we have our tape on, we're going to paint our stripes red. And then once we have our stripes on there, now I want to distress mine, and to do that, this one's going to be a little difficult to distress because if you sanded all of it together, these colors are going to come kind of dust over into the white sections, and then the red and the blue, everything will be mixed together. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it off and then take it out and sand it. And so like what I would do, like if I wanted to sand the white side, I'm going to tape off this side here, sand my white side, and then do accordingly as I sand. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll start with the white side first, and we'll just put our tape right down the center here, or off center basically. And we're going to just press it down, and then I'm going to take this out and sand it. And then once I get that side sanded, then I would do tape off the other sections. And I'm pretty sure you know what I mean, but just in case you don't. Once I get this sanded, then I would take this off, and I would move it over here, and then tape off the blue, and then sand the red. And then once I sanded the red, I would take that off, and then I would sand the blue. So just in case you weren't clear on that. I'm sure you were, but sometimes if you're like me, I'm like, what were they saying? That sounds weird. Anyway, so let's put this back on and go sand the project, and then we'll continue on. All right, now we have it distressed, and I really went to town. I really wanted it good and distressed. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a decal on this side, and our decal is going to say "One Nation Under God." All right, now we have our decal ready to go, and we're just going to stick it down right here on the white side. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then once we have our decal on, we're left with this beautiful door hanger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take mine out. I'm going to stain the back side and the edges, and I'm going to give it a few good coats of the Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel. So let me do that, and we'll be right back with the finished product. Okay, and then we have our beautiful door hanger. I love the distressing. And then as you see, I stained the back side to finish it and the edges. And I love how this turned out. What do you guys think? You think you'll make one? For this DIY, we're going to be framing some sheet music. Now I purchased this frame from Michael's. It's an 8x10 frame, and it came with a 5x7 mat, but the mat doesn't really matter. It's more about the 8x10 size. Then I printed out this free sheet music from a music school, and I cut it out to fit inside my frame. I also am going to be using a little bit of this Velcro. We start by taking our frame apart, and then inserting our sheet music. We follow that up with putting our back onto our frame and smashing down our framer's points. Perfect. It looks so good already. What do you think? But I'm going to maybe enhance mine a little bit, and I'm going to use the Velcro to do this with. Now, if you have the sticky dots from like Dollar Tree or Walmart or something like that, that's perfect. But I did not have any, so I'm going to just be using a little cut piece of this Velcro I had on hand. And I start by gluing one of the sides of Velcro down to my frame. Okay, and then when we have our Velcro glued down in the corner of our frame, I took the other piece of Velcro and I put it on the back of this fabric bow. And this fabric came from, what was it, Hobby Lobby? Yeah, it came from Hobby Lobby, and we actually used it in our star, We the People star, with the streamers, the fabric streamers in red, white, and blue. And I don't know if I said this, but I'm also going to have that. I know I'm going to have the vinyl decals in my shop, but I'm also going to have the star as a kit. The only thing it won't come with is the paint and stain, so you guys can choose what colors you want, but it'll come with the fabric, the wooden star, and the decal. So I'll have that in my shop if it interests you guys at all. But anyway, then once we have our bow made, we can just stick it right down to our frame. And what I love about this is you can change out the quote or the sheet music or whatever you want, picture, and then you can just remove the bow and put another bow on there to match whatever's going on in your frame, whatever you framed. Now this one I'm going to put on here, and I'm going to add actually a metal star to my bow, to this bow, and I'm just going to add it right in the center, and I think that's going to be perfect for the Star Spangled Banner. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll look at the finished piece. And be careful when you are gluing. Whoa, it's getting crazy. Be careful when you're gluing metal down with hot glue, because woohoo! Ask me how I know that lesson. That it is hot. Whoa! Well, I know. Metal conducts heat. Duh, Tracy. Anyway. And then once we're done, we have this beautiful little piece of easy home decor. And I think it turned out so beautiful. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite, or maybe all of them were your favorite. Which one are you most likely to recreate? Also, don't forget to visit the website, because I'm going to have a lot of like fun decals over there. And like I said, I'm going to have the star in a kit, and it's just going to be minus the paint and stain. So it's going to be the wooden star, it's going to be the torn fabric for the streamers, and then also the decal. So make sure and go over and visit that. We'd love to see you over there too. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button just in case you're new here, because we'd love to have you here at Sweet Bay Lane. And until next time, make sure and keep it crafty. For this DIY project, we're going to be using a piece of 1x4. It measures 3.5 inches, but it's called a 1x4. And we're cutting it into 3 5.5-inch pieces. So we're going to start by taking our top piece, because what we're going to make is a cute little patriotic book stack. And we're going to start by painting this white. Okay, so now we have our pieces painted. And our blue piece, which is going to be our bottom piece, is going to be painted on the bottom, left blank here, a little bit here, and then the sides are painted. Then we have our middle piece, which is going to be open on both sides and then painted on the edges. And then we have our top piece, which is going to be open on the bottom side and painted on the top side. And we are going to add some red stripes to this block here. And to do that, I think I'm going to use this blue painter's tape. And then we're just going to paint them red. All right, so now we have that done. We have our stripes on there, so that's good. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry a little bit further, and I'm going to then distress my stripes. Or, you know what, let's just put it together. Well, first off, let's do this, because we're going to let that dry. But I want to add a little bit of stain to this one around the edge, because I'm going to be putting something on top of it, and I want it to be kind of distressed. And to do that, I think what I'm going to do is do a dry brush in this kind of brown color. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I was going to use stain, but then one of the steps that we're going to do, it won't work with. So we're going to take and just dry brush the edges. All right. And I also added some of the red and the blue to the brown, and I think that looks so good. I wanted it all to kind of blend but be rustic. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pieces out and I'm going to distress them. So let's get that done, and then we'll continue on and finish up our project. All right, so now we have our pieces distressed and stained. And now we're just going to put them together with some glue. And I'm going to be using a mixture of a little bit of hot glue, just a tiny tad, and some wood glue. And I'm going to be using this. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that now. And now that they've dried, we're going to embellish them. And I'm going to be using some white stars I printed out in a permanent white vinyl. And I'll have these listed in my shop, these little decals with the, and then it's going to say stars and stripes in a permanent white vinyl. And I'll have those listed for you in case you want to replicate one yourself and you don't have a vinyl cutter. And I'm just going to put my stars down here on the bottom. All right, and once we have our decals on, we have what looks like this. I think that looks so cute. Now, I'm going to take mine out and I'm going to give it 3 good coats of the Rust-Oleum clear coat in a satin. So let's get that done, then we'll finish it up with a few little embellishments. Okay, my crafty friends, do you love the book stacks? I have to admit, I am a sucker for these little book stacks. I just love them. I love making them. I love sitting them around. I'm obsessed with them, honestly. And I think this one turned out super, super cute. What do you guys think? And if you guys want to recreate one for yourself, I'll have the decals in my shop for you. So, with that said, let's go ahead and continue on to our next Americana project. Now to start, you're going to need this paper mache box with a lid. We're going to paint the outside of our drum navy blue. And I'm going to be using this apple barrel matte. And you can get it at Walmart. And it's in an Admiral blue. So let's go ahead and start the painting process. Now we have our container painted blue, and we're going to paint the lid brown. And I'm going to, all right, so now we have our drum painted, we have our lid painted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to glue these two together. Okay, so now we have what looks like this. Now we're going to set this aside for now, and we're going to continue on. And we are going to take, well actually, let's do this first. We're going to take some fabric, and you'll see I already cut a piece of the fabric out. And what I did with that fabric is I printed on it, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our container and we're going to put it down like this, and we are going to cut a probably like, I don't know, I'll probably leave like a couple inches around just so I have some room to trim. But I'm going to take, yeah, I'll take a pencil. We'll see how that goes, right? Or actually, yeah, let's do that. We'll just take a pencil and we'll just draw around it, just roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect because we want it to be rustic. Okay, so now we have that done. Set it over to the side. Then we're going to cut it out. Then we have this piece, and we're going to take this and set it aside. And then once I have the edges roughed up, we're going to take, I put some of that brown paint. And you can use stain with this too, which I think that would work really, really well. So, but I'm going to try the paint first because I already have it mixed up with some water. Doesn't that look like chocolate milk? Ugh, don't drink it though. But it looks like it. It looks like it. Anyway, so we have that. We're going to set our knife aside here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little piece of fabric and I'm going to dunk it in here and then let the fabric dry. So let's see how this goes. I might have to use stain, but let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's browning up nicely. See it in there? Ooh. Kind of fun, huh? All right, so now let me get some paper towels and we'll take it out and see what we got. All right. I gotta stick my hand in there. All right, let's see. Let's pull it out. Oh yeah, it looks nice. Looks nice. Okay, let's kind of wring it out a little bit. Wring it out. This is messy, but kind of fun. All right, so now we're gonna take and lay our fabric out. Look at it, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. All right, so now we're gonna take and dry that with some paper towels on top. Oh yes, that looks so good. Okay, so now I'm going to let this dry. Now, while this is drying, before it dries, I wanted the edges to be a little more rustic, but I didn't want to take the time to fray. So what I did is I decided to give this a try, and this is, what is this, 80 grit? Yeah, this is 80 grit coarse sandpaper, and I just put it on a piece of scrap wood I have here, and I'm just sanding the edges of my fabric, and it is turning out fantastically rustic. So I thought this was a great idea. Just because I'm too lazy, I've discovered it. Now, other people might already be doing this, but it really works. Look at that frayed edge. Look at that. I love it. Okay, so let's let this finish drying, and then maybe we'll come in and give it a little more fraying, but I think it looks good the way it is. Yeah, she can't see the baby. They said, where's Miss River? There she is. Yes, she is. There's a Miss River. What are you doing, you pretty girl? You are so beautiful. Okay, we got to get back to work. Now, while we're waiting for our round piece of fabric to dry, I wanted to show you what I did is I printed on fabric with my regular just printer, and I think it turned out fantastic. What do you guys think? I love how this turned out, so I thought, well, I'll share it with you. And what I did is I took a piece of standard cardstock paper that I send through my printer, and I took it out and I sprayed it with this Craft Bond spray. I sprayed the whole paper down. Then I just took my fabric and I laid my fabric down onto my piece of paper, glue on it, and I just flattened it out and stuck the edges down. Now once it was stuck, I just came in and I trimmed very close the edge of the fabric to my paper. And the one edge, it just has to be the one edge. You make sure that all the edges are stuck down, but the one edge that you want stuck the most is the one that's going to feed into the printer. So just make sure that's fed in, and then you just take your image, you hit print, and off it goes. We're going to take this now. I still have to Mod Podge it to my blue container. So I need to figure out how much I want of the flag on my container. And I think what I'm going to do is do all of the stars and then cut off at that stripe there at the bottom. So let's do that. Let's trim that up. But now we just want to Mod Podge it down to our barrel like that. Now I don't know if I want to make the edges distressed or not. I'm not sure, because I think the Mod Podge is going to flatten them down anyway. So let's go ahead and stick it down. I'm going to get our Mod Podge here. All right, and then once we have our flag on, I did a full coat all over with the matte Mod Podge. And I think it's looking so good. Don't you love that rustic look? I do. All right, so now we have our round piece of fabric that we dyed with the paint. And I want to add something to the top of this, and I was going to add 1776 to the top, but I had this stencil that I cut out from another project, and I think what I'm going to try and do is paint this on, stencil it onto the fabric. So let's see how that goes. Let's get it off here. That's like ASMR, or whatever they call that. Whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. All right, so now we have what looks like this. How beautiful is that? I love it so much. Oh my goodness. All right, so now that everything's dried, we got our Mod Podge on our little container. We have our stars and everything painted on the back side of our fabric. So now we're going to take and glue, put some hot glue around the edge, and we're going to glue our bucket down to our fabric. And you'll just want to keep working with it, making sure it's nice and tight. Perfect. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take and put a little bit of glue right around the edge, and then we're just going to bring our fabric up into the glue. So let's see how that goes. Alright, so now we have what looks like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and we are going to put some twine on it. And I'm going to be using some of this twine. So we're going to take our twine and we're also going to take some of these upholstery tacks. And you can purchase these anywhere, and I'll link some below for you guys. I might even put it here somewhere. It might pop up where you can find these. But what we're going to do is we're going to take and put one. We're going to start right here and find the center of our drum here. And then we're going to press it into our So we'll have it just like that. And then we're going to find the back of our thing. We want to do it spread out, and the best way to do that is to look from the bottom or from above, and you'll find your second spot that you want, and we'll put that in there. These are a little tough to get in at first, but once you get them going, then they pop right in like that. So, and then we're going to take and do one here in between these two. Okay, so then once we have those in, and I'm not sure how much I want. Yeah, okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some more tacks and we're going to put them in the top, but between these two. So you just eye it up and find the center best you can. There we go. All right, so now we have our little grommet things in, our little, whatever they're called, upholstery tacks. We have those in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our twine and we're going to weave it along the brads or the upholstery tacks. So what you'll want to do is pull out your upholstery tacks just a little bit, and I might add a little bit of glue in them once I get it done here, but I don't know. I think it might be fine too. We'll see. We'll see. But we're going to start, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the front. We're going to put it behind our tack, push that down, then we're going to bring it down to this bottom tack. We're going to string it through and then push it in. All right, so now we have this piece with our 1776 on there. And now I want to add a little bit of trim to the top here. And you can do it with the twine. You can do however you would like. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this wire and I'm going to glue it around the top side of the drum like that, right on top of my upholstery tacks. So let's get that done and see where we're at. All right, and then once we're done gluing our trim around, we're left with this cute little primitive Americana drum. But what's a drum without drumsticks, right? So let's make those as our companion piece to our drum. And for that, I'm just going to be using actually These are just some little dowels. I think they were originally like the barbecue skewers from Dollar Tree, the big ones, or maybe I got them at Walmart. I think I got them at Walmart. I'll link them if I got them at Walmart for you guys. And you'll also need some wooden balls or beads of some sort, and I'm just going to be using beads for mine. I got these beads, I don't even remember where. So we're just going to use beads for this. And then I'm going to be using some of the twine as well for my project. Or I might do, yeah, I'll do the twine. I think I'll do the twine. But anyways, this is going to be quite easy. And I think I'm just going to use hot glue. But I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue. Now, you have to make sure that the bead hole or your wood knob is going to be wide enough to fit inside your beads. So I'm just going to stick a little bit of hot glue inside there. So let's go ahead and just wrap our twine round, round, round our handles. So let's do that. Hey, my crafty friends, if you like what you see so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'm going to take mine and wrap it back up around to make it a little bit thicker. All right, and then we have our little rustic drumsticks. So now I want to add a little bit of fun rusticness to the top here. And I'm just going to take some of this red and white ticking fabric from another project, which if you guys didn't see that one yet, I'll link that video down below. But that was so much fun making that project. But using this fabric was fun. So we're just going to tie a little piece of fabric on there, and the more rustic, the better. All right, my craft friends, what did you think of our little drum project? I think it's so cute with its little drumsticks, and I hope it inspires you to make one for yourself. I just think it turned out so cute, and I love it. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue on to our next DIY.
For this DIY, we're going to be using this 12-inch wood round from Walmart. And the brand is Hello Hobby. And I just love the quality of these blank door hangers, and I love the thickness as well. Now we start by dividing our wood round into thirds. And my middle section measures 4.5 inches. Once we have it divided into thirds, we're now going to tape off our sections. And I want to tape off the top and the bottom because we're going to paint the top a dark blue and we're going to paint the bottom a white. All right, now it's dry. And we're going to leave our paint tape just as it is, but I'm going to paint red stripes here. And to do that, I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to just tape off my starter line right here because this is going to be my red line. All right, now that it's dried, I'm going to take mine out and just lightly distress the edges of it. And then I'm going to stain the complete board on the edges and on the back. So let me do that and then we'll continue on with the project. All right, so now we have it distressed. We have the back stained and the sides. And you can see the distressing I added to it. It's very cute. Now we're going to embellish our project. And first, I'm going to start by putting some vinyl, permanent white vinyl stars up here on the blue. There we go. So now we have that on. And our next decal we're going to be adding is so cute, and it is my favorite quote of the season. It is, I am so in love with this. So now we have this beautiful, oh my gosh, I love this so much. We have this beautiful door hanger. All right, my crafty friends, what did you think of this project? I think it turned out so
cute. And I love this quote. This quote is my favorite quote so far of this season. I love it. Also, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to have the custom vinyl decal and a sheet of the stars in my shop for sale, just in case you guys want to recreate one for yourself. So then all you have to do is pick up your paint and your wood round from Walmart, and that's very easy to do. I'll have it linked down below for you. You just click on it, add it to your cart, pay for it. You can either pick it up or you can have it delivered to your home, which I think is fantastic, right? So anyway, let me know down below what your favorite DIY was of this video. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed, you know what to do. We'd love to have you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Well, until next time, make sure and keep it crafty, my friends.